Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my first impressions reaction to My Dress Up Darling. So, this is a really popular series. Like, unquestionably, this is a massive series. Like, I would say that this is actually getting much more attention than Komi-san Can't Communicate. And I'm kind of curious as to why. So, this was actually chosen via a small poll on the Discord server. I decided, like, let's have you guys choose my next first impressions reaction. I gave 3 choices. I didn't tell what the choices were. I just gave a very brief general description of them. And it was like a show about cosplay, a show about a really good lawyer, and I forgot what the third one was. I could probably check real quick. Oh god, I'm trying to think of it. Because they're all shows that I wanted to check out and give a first impressions for anyway. But the idea was that it would be like, oh, you guys get to choose which one comes next and everything. And oh yeah, the third one was a show about a baby king. And now very few people voted, no matter what, which is a little disappointing. But it was entirely a 100% sweep. Of the few people that actually voted, it was entirely in favor of the show about cosplay. And yeah, so that's what this is. Now, that's all I really know about this series. I've obviously seen what the characters look like, but that's about it. I don't really actually know a lot. I've seen like random screen caps here and there, but completely out of context and not knowing what's going on. I've seen pictures of cosplayers as the main girl, Marin, I think her name is. I've seen fan art, and it's just like everybody seems to be in love with this character. People are even saying, like, you know, best girl of 2022 and stuff. And I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious, because there's been plenty of shows that do center and focus around a main female character who is just designed to be likable and extremely enjoyable as a character, that I've really loved, that I didn't necessarily know if I would or not. Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out as a great example, and even, yeah, Komi-san Can't Communicate. So now we get to My Dress Up Darling, and yeah, again, all I know about this is it's about cosplay. And I've seen, again, various art and cosplayers and stuff as the character. My first actual introduction to this was through someone using a line in the series to basically bolster their view that cosplayers should only cosplay as characters that their gender and body type and race and all represent. They were using a line from the series. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they were using it as like, oh, this is why people like should only cosplay within their body type and within their gender and race and everything. You're disrespecting the characters if you don't. That was my first introduction to this series, the first time I heard anything about it. And honestly, I was livid. That is something I am very heavily against, that idea. I believe that anyone can cosplay, and anyone can cosplay anyone. Guys can cosplay as a girl character. Girls can cosplay as a male character, and so on and so forth. You can cosplay as a character of a race that you are not a part of. You can cosplay a character that doesn't have the same body type as you. It doesn't matter. You can cosplay as anyone, and we need to stop fucking shaming people for that shit. That fucking pisses me off. That people still do that. And I really kind of blame it on the fact that culturally, we tend to put so much focus on on the sexy cosplayers. And there's nothing wrong with the sexy cosplayers. I want to make that clear. But society tends to put so much focus on them as like the faces of cosplay that because of it, oftentimes people kind of think that, oh, if you're not like representing the characters properly in their eyes, that you're not that you're disrespecting them, that you're not that you shouldn't cosplay them in that regard. And I do think that to a degree that this kind of culture that was bred for cosplay is behind that. Now, I don't know the context of how the line was said in the series. I don't even remember exactly what the line was. But the fact that someone could use it in that way very quickly turned me off of this series. But I kept hearing, again, all of the love for it, and especially from the cosplay community. And so I want to give it a chance. I want to see what the series is like and how it actually tackles cosplay. I do amateur cosplay myself. I don't make my own outfits or anything, and most of my outfits are very simplistic, but still. I'm just kind of curious as to how this is going to end up being in that regard, since again it's become so heavily popular. I'm hoping for good things, and we'll just see how it goes. And for those of you who are new, who might have discovered the channel for this, what is a first impressions reaction? Because some of you may not know if you're new, or again, if you discovered the channel through this video. Basically what it means is we are watching the first episode today, and the first episode only. I will then use my experience reacting to it and my feelings towards it and everything to determine whether or not I want to continue it as a reaction series, or if I would rather watch it on my own time, or if I just don't like it. It's as simple as that. One of those three outcomes basically will happen, and I will mention in the afterthoughts which outcome I go with. It's basically going to be determined by how well I like the series, how well I think it'll work for a reaction series, because not every show that I like would work for a reaction series, for multiple reasons. And whether or not I think that I would want to even react to it, or if I think it would be a better experience watching on my own time. There's just a lot of things that go into that kind of experience. And so I'm going to go into this as hopeful as I can, as I always do. Hope that it'll be as good as possible, and we'll see. And like I said, in the afterthoughts, I'll give you my verdict and just my thoughts on the episode in general. Now, last thing before we get this started, we are doing the dub. Maybe an unpopular opinion, as I say pretty much with any anime, because there are sub-supremacists out there, and I hate that idea. We are doing the dub for the specific reason that I am a longtime follower of the main character Marin's voice actress on YouTube. Marin in the dub is voiced by Amanda Lee, or Amalie, if you know her from YouTube. She sings anime cover themes, or anime theme covers, rather. And I followed her works for a long, long time. And so I want to watch the dub because I want to hear her performances, and I want to, well, in a way, support a creator that I've been a fan of for a long time. That's my reasonings. Just like with Jujutsu Kaisen, I chose to do the dub because I met the voice actor for Itadori, and he has the same VA as Marco from Star Versus, and I thought that was cool. So it's just certain shows I'll want to do the dub for, and this is one of them, and that's my reasoning. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch. It's as simple as that. I'm not going to apologize. I'm not going to switch it up. I prefer the dub in some cases. I'm not a sub-supremacist. But either way, we are going to check this out now. Obviously, link will be in the description below because of copyright. Do not want to deal with that shit, but yeah, let us get this going. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go down to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode, as well as just my general thoughts on whether or not this will continue to be a series in the future. That being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and for now, I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So I have talked about this plenty of times in the past. How there are shows that I've gone into not knowing what to expect for one reason or another. Or even shows that I've had an initial negative perception of before seeing them, but that once seeing them, whether I just went in not knowing what to expect at all or whether I did have a negative perception, they surprised me to a genuinely high level. And with no clear indication necessarily that the rest of the series is going to be of the same quality, because a first episode you can never really tell, but an initial impression that is so strong that it genuinely excites me. And there's been multiple examples of this, going for like one of each type of thought going into it. Like for a series that I went into it not knowing what to expect, but ended up like just falling in love with the first episode. Obviously, Komi-san can't communicate. The first episode won me over so hard as someone with social anxiety, not to Komi's level, but definitely having it still. It's just the respectful and beautiful way it tackles it, and realistic way it tackles it even. It honestly really hit me hard. And then with a series that I went into it while having a negative perception of it before seeing it, and ended up like the first episode blew me away and made me love it and everything. The go-to example of that for me that I've mentioned in the past would be Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. I went into that series honestly expecting to hate it, because I expected it to be pointless fan service that would just be stupid. But instead, I got a smart, clever, funny comedy and parody series with characters so extremely likable that it became a very quick comfort show for me. And there was still fan service in it, but it wasn't done in a pointless way. It was handled properly. And this series, My Dress Up Darling, is more akin to Komi-san, obviously, than Dragon Maid, because I didn't go into this expecting to hate it. I went into it not knowing what I was going to think. But this is definitely one of those cases where just like with Komi-san, I can connect with this. I relate to Maureen, very much so. And even the aspect of not being able to sew worth a shit. Although she seems to at least have some level of competency, at least she can make something. I can't do anything. I have no fucking clue how to sew. I can't even like sew up like a rip on a shirt or anything. It doesn't click for me. I don't know. But through the absolute passion that she shows for anime and games and stuff, the attitude she has towards how people treat others, and her desire to cosplay because of how much she loves the characters. It's like, oh yeah, that's very much the same feelings I have about all of those situations. It's like, that's why I cosplay, and why I cosplay as the characters I do. Kobayashi, Uzaki, Velma from Scooby-Doo, like, I cosplay these characters because I love the characters, because I adore these characters, and so I want to cosplay them and share that passion at conventions and stuff. Now, I don't know if Maureen's intention is to go to conventions. She didn't mention anything about that. She just mentioned she wants to do the cosplay. She could just do cosplay for like Instagram, basically. Just do cosplay photo shoots and stuff and put them on there. But she might want to go to conventions. I mean, honestly, with her passion for anime and gaming and stuff, it seems like that would be perfect for her. But yeah, I don't know. But definitely that strong connection to her character, like right off the bat, definitely endeared her to me in a really, really resonant way. Like, it really endeared me to her. And our main male character, there's definitely a lot that I can connect to there as well. Having passions and interests that you worry what other people will think of. I mean, I'm a fucking Pegasus. I'm into My Little Pony. Of course I've fucking thought about that kind of shit, about what people would think. And even just from anime and stuff in general, like, I've always had worries like that about how people would view me. And sometimes those worries have come to pass. Sometimes I've faced some really negative feedback, just like he had. But there have also been people who have come into my life who have shown passions and stuff, who have defended me and stood up for me and supported me in that regard. And even with his thoughts on, like, maybe it would be better if I just wasn't around, it's like, that was very much some depressive, even semi-suicidal mindsets there. And as someone who was stuck in a deep depression years ago and attempted suicide, it's like, yeah, that really stuck out to me. And even the stuff with him being used by others and being treated poorly by others in a kind of backhanded way. Like, there's so much with these two characters that I can relate and connect to, and it's just that is how you hook me in. Like, if you want to hook me into a series, make me connect to the characters on a personal level. And it's like, almost always you will win me over that way. But on top of it, yes, the visuals are stunning. It has gorgeous art and animation. And I want to talk about the voice acting. And I know some people are going to disagree with me on this, some sub-supremacists or even just people who prefer the sub. I think the dub voice acting was phenomenal here. I mean, I don't know if I would say it was on the level of something like Death Note or Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, but it was really damn good. These people talked like actual people. Like, I'm not the only one who noticed that, right? These people were talking like actual people. Like, very real sounding in their deliveries. And that really surprised me. Just the things they said, the way they said them. Best example, when Gojo was watching Marine have that conversation with her friends and all about what had happened with the stalker guy. The conversation they were having there, the way they were speaking, the things they were saying, and everything was so unbelievably realistic that I almost forgot I was watching an anime for a second. I'm not even kidding. They were talking like in the same way that I have had conversations with people. Again, in terms of how they're speaking, the words and phrases they're using, the just the enunciation of words and everything, their inflections. Usually, when you're watching anything, no matter what language it's in, the voice actors will exaggerate things, and a lot of times the written dialogue is often, not how people actually talk. And you can find this in practically any series, and I'm sure that there's going to be plenty of that in this series too. But there's those rare occasions where you will see something, an animated movie or series or game or whatever, where the voice acting is just somehow more realistic, and it blows me away every time I see / hear that, where it just feels like actual people talking and less like voice actors giving a performance, where the words they're saying sounds like what people would actually say rather than someone who scripted out this entertainment. You know what I mean? It's just that I feel like that's just rare nowadays to have more realistic sounding dialogue in a series, especially in anime. So I really do love that. And all the voice actors did a fantastic job. Amanda Lee and everyone else who worked on this. And then we had the soundtrack, and the soundtrack, not talking about the opening and all, or the ending themes, but the soundtrack just throughout the episode, everything just kind of seemed to fit. Like, it was just one of those situations where I never questioned the music they used. It worked for every scene. And on top of it, the episode, was entertaining. It went by really quick. The stuff in the beginning about how he learned to do these Hina dolls and his love for them and everything, the passion came through really heavily in the writing there. And it just burst out of the screen at me. And it's like, I've always said that I love seeing and hearing people being passionate about something they love. That a person's passion in something really just excites me, because I just love to see people love things, whether it be another person or a show, a game, a book, a hobby, whatever it be. So seeing that passion that he clearly had for making these Hina dolls, and especially the clothes, which he's good at, it's like just instantly is just like filling me with a lot of this excitement. Like I'm practically bursting at the seams, trying not to scream hell yeah at every scene, because it's just like I'm just so excited for him. It's ramping me up. And the same goes with Marine when she starts gushing about the anime and everything. It's like, fuck yeah. It's like, I love passion. I love people being passionate about shit. It's just the coolest thing. I will never get tired of that. And that even counts for a fictional series like this. So I really got a kick out of that aspect of things. And yeah, I just enjoyed this. I just enjoyed the shit out of this. Now, obviously, that part early on where Gojo was a kid and everything, that the girl who spoke down to him and everything and said, "I don't want to be your friend anymore. You're a freak," and everything. And it's like, boys don't play with dolls and, stupid sexist bullshit like that. Um, that's going to be important. Very clearly. I don't know exactly how it's going to come back into play or when, but that is very clearly going to be important. We are going to meet that girl again. That is super blatantly obvious. Um, I don't mind it though. I feel like there's going to be some room for character growth and development, and maybe even the idea of someone learning from the mistakes of their past in there, which again is something I can very much connect to. So if they do that, it is going to excite me. And if it's not pretty blatantly obvious, there was some fan service in here. But I kind of figured that was going to happen going in because of the fan art. And it's a little uncomfortable because, the character is a high school girl. It's uncomfortable. But I also understand it's like it's fictional, at least it's not like a real person. If this were live action, that would be really fucking gross. Um but I can handle it a little easier when it's fictional, and un- unfortunately Japan is still very backwards with a lot of things in regarding to that, and a lot of anime does shit like this. Um so it's like I just have to keep in mind it's fictional, and it's just not to take it too seriously. But to be fair, the fan service at least wasn't done too poorly here. Like it wasn't like just sexy fan service for the sake of being sexy fan service. Like, although Maureen just disrobing out of nowhere and not telling him Gojo what she was doing was kind of much. But at the same time, it's like everything after that, like when her skirt popped up when she was jumping up and down and stuff, it's like that would happen. That would just happen. So at least it was more realistic fan service for the most part, but it was still there. And it's just like there's a certain point where you do just have to sit back and like go like, this is fiction. They're not real people. Let's not think too hard about it. It's not going to affect anything in real life, fortunately. That's how I tend to view a lot of these anime when, underage characters are shown in fan service situations. And you could even date that back to shit like Sailor Moon. And most likely before that too. But like even Sailor Moon did it. So it's not like it's anything new. But I did just want to mention that because it was notably obvious in the episode. And speaking of notably obvious, I think by this point, even with that and everything, I think it's pretty fairly obvious to you all that I really, really enjoyed this. Like, it actually, with the personal connections that I formed with it, and just the connections I made with the characters and everything, and all of that jazz. I think it's very clear I really love this. Now, as I said in the beginning, though, liking something doesn't necessarily mean I think I can react to it. Because there's a lot that goes into that, whether or not I think it'll be good for reactions, whether or not I'll have a lot to say about the episodes each week, so on and so forth. There's a lot that goes into recording a reaction that is more than just, sitting down and watching something. There are certain shows that just work better for watching on your own time. Fortunately, I think that My Dress Up Darling is something I could react to. Unlike Komi-san, which is something that I very much wanted to watch on my own time, like after seeing the first episode, and honestly, even just knowing about it beforehand, it's like, this is very clearly something I'm going to want to watch on my own, which is why I did. But like, that was like, oh yeah, that's a very much a series that I want to just lay back, relax, and experience on my own time. This series I could see myself reacting to. This one I could see myself getting into and actually having stuff to say with where it goes, especially with the kind of messages it talks about, because there are definitely messages in here about just, taking care of yourself and not letting others take advantage of you, about not making fun of other people's passions, and all kinds of other stuff. And like I said before, I really love that they did that. I love it when any show can actually give really positive, encouraging messages like that, because it means something. It matters. So, yeah, we will be continuing this at some point in the future. We will be doing the full series. I'll just have to add it to my list, and we'll get to it at some point. I don't know when. We have other first impressions, reaction stuff to get back to first. So it won't be right away. And unlike Jujutsu Kaisen, which that one is coming back right, like, really soon after. It's like, that one I'm coming back to this soon, because that one, like, really, really left an impact on me, to where it's like, I need to see more, and I can't wait. This one I can wait a little on. I don't have to, like, push this one. I can wait a little, but the first episode definitely impressed me. So tell me in the comments below, what did you think of episode 1 of My Dress Up Darling? And thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.